Tonight on Dark Data Files, 3 cases, 3 clear facts, and the questions they leave behind. Flannan Isles, 1900. 3 lighthouse keepers vanished. 1 man's foul weather gear remained inside. Philadelphia, 1957. An unidentified boy was found in a box. His name was unknown for decades. United States, 2003. A so-called Dybbuk box. Dramatic claims, but sources for those claims remain in dispute. We present the documented record, why evidence fell short, and where investigation met its limits. This is an analysis, not a dramatization. December 1900. On the remote, storm-lashed island of Eilean Mor in Scotland's Outer Hebrides, a profound silence greeted the relief vessel Hesperus. The Flannan Isles Lighthouse, a vital beacon for North Atlantic shipping, was dark and unresponsive. Its 3 keepers, Thomas Marshall, James Ducat, and Donald MacArthur, were nowhere to be seen. The customary flag was not raised. The ship's horn and flares received no reply. Anxious, relief keeper Joseph Moore rowed ashore alone, stepping into a scene of unsettling stillness. Inside the lighthouse, the scene was even more perplexing. The kitchen was orderly, with a half-eaten meal left on the table. The beds were unmade, and a clock on the wall had stopped. The only sign of disarray was a single, overturned chair. Up in the lantern room, the lamp was meticulously cleaned and refilled with oil. The mechanism was fully wound. These were clear signs that the keepers had diligently completed their duties before vanishing. The lighthouse logbook offered a cryptic timeline. It described severe gales from December 12th to the 14th, with 1 keeper reportedly in tears. The final entry, dated December 15th, read, "Storm ended. Sea calm. God is over all." Yet, outside, the West Landing showed evidence of incredible violence. A supply box was smashed, iron railings were bent out of shape, and a massive block of stone had been dislodged, all over 100 feet above sea level. This presented a stark contradiction. How could the sea be calm, as the logbook claimed, while inflicting such damage at an astonishing height? The timeline seemed impossible. Further inspection revealed 2 sets of oilskins, heavy, waterproof gear, were missing. A 3rd set, belonging to Donald MacArthur, remained hanging on its peg. The official theory posited that during a lull in the storm, 2 men went to secure equipment on the landing. A sudden, monstrous rogue wave swept them away. The 3rd keeper, MacArthur, then rushed out to help without his gear, and was taken by the sea as well. This scenario neatly accounts for 3 men being outside simultaneously and explains the absence of bodies which were never recovered from the unforgiving Atlantic. The overturned chair could suggest a moment of sudden urgency, a hasty departure to face an unexpected crisis. But the theory has holes. If the sea was calm, what wave could possibly reach that elevation? The island's steep cliffs and uncertain local bathymetry make wave run-up heights notoriously difficult to predict. And why would an experienced keeper like MacArthur rush into a storm without his essential foul-weather gear? Other proposals have been put forward over the years, ranging from a violent fight among the men to a desperate launch in a small boat, perhaps driven by psychological strain from the intense isolation and storm. Yet each explanation collides with the same set of opposing facts: the meticulous order inside the tower, the catastrophic storm damage outside, and the complete absence of any final sighting or message. The official record simply ends, a story cut short between the sea and the storm. In the end, a credible rogue wave scenario remains the most likely explanation, but the conflicting evidence leaves persistent, nagging doubts unresolved. The sea holds the missing minutes of their final moments, and the sea does not speak. What remains is an orderly lighthouse and an abrupt, total absence. Time in the tower simply stopped. The case remains unresolved, not for a lack of traces, but because those traces diverge at the shoreline, leaving only questions in their wake. On February 25, 1957, a routine day took a dark turn. In a quiet, wooded area on the edge of Philadelphia, a college student stumbled upon a large, discarded cardboard box. His initial curiosity turned to horror. Inside, carefully wrapped in a plaid blanket, was the bruised and battered body of a young boy, estimated to be between 4 and 6 years old. Police arrived and documented the scene with painstaking detail, notifying the coroner and launching a massive investigation. Investigators deployed the full arsenal of tools available at the time: photographs, posters distributed by the thousands, and exhaustive manual record checks. The story of the boy in the box drew national attention, a haunting mystery that captivated and horrified the public. Yet, despite the widespread publicity, no one came forward to identify the child. Detectives canvassed neighborhoods, checked with schools, orphanages, and foster homes, but found no record of a missing boy who matched the description. The box was traced to a local J.C. store, but it had been sold with a bassinet. The blanket was a common, mass-produced item. Neither clue led to a specific owner. Fingerprints and dental charts were meticulously recorded, but without a candidate identity in any database, these records were useless. There was nothing to compare them against. The autopsy revealed a grim history. The cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head. The boy was severely malnourished, and his body bore the marks of prior small scars. His hair had been recently and crudely cut. Clippings still adhered to his body, a chilling detail suggesting the haircut occurred very near the time of his death. Public appeals generated thousands of tips. Every lead was pursued with diligence, but each one ultimately led to a dead end, producing no verified identity. In an era without centralized databases or interconnected digital records, it was tragically possible for a child to slip through institutional cracks, completely unnoticed. Every investigative avenue, every potential connection, hinged on finding a name. Without it, police could not trace family, school, or neighbors. The entire case was at a standstill. The case became known as America's Unknown Child, a tragedy that was thoroughly documented yet fundamentally anonymous. He was eventually buried with a headstone that asked a blessing on an unknown boy. For years, community members held memorials, refusing to let his memory fade. In 1998, his remains were exhumed for DNA testing, but the early mitochondrial DNA tests of the time were limited, unable to provide the crucial link. It would take decades more for technology to catch up. Finally, advanced DNA profiling and forensic genealogical research connected the boy to a biological family. The delay was purely technological. For over half a century, the scientific tools required to build a family tree from a genetic sample and thus give him a name simply did not exist. The investigation never truly went cold. It stalled not from apathy or neglect, but from the inescapable scientific and technological limits of its era. Our next case begins not in dusty archives, but in the nascent digital world of 2003, on an online auction listing. This was a new kind of mystery, born from a single web page and destined to become a viral phenomenon. The seller, Kevin Manis, offered an old wine cabinet. But it wasn't the object he was selling so much as its story, a detailed, dramatic description that read more like a horror movie script. He claimed it came from the estate of a 103-year-old Holocaust survivor who had always insisted it be kept locked, warning of the danger within. The listing invoked a dybbuk, a concept from Jewish folklore describing a restless, malicious spirit that can possess the living. This specific cultural reference added a layer of historical gravity and perceived authenticity. As the box changed hands, each new owner seemed to inherit the curse. They took to online forums, posting vivid accounts of shared nightmares, strange smells, sudden illnesses, and other terrifying disturbances. What is verifiable is the chain of custody. The cabinet did change hands, from Manis to a college student, and eventually to museum director Jason Haxton, who documented his own experiences. The object itself is real. It contains peculiar items: locks of hair, a dried rosebud, and a small stone inscribed with Hebrew letters, all of which fueled speculation. What remains entirely unverifiable are the reported supernatural phenomena. These anecdotes, however compelling, lack any independent corroboration or controlled test conditions, existing only as personal testimony. The story spread rapidly. Blogs, forums, and eventually mainstream media amplified the tale, each repetition cementing the legend. But as the story grew, so did the scrutiny. Years later, the narrative collapsed. Manis himself acknowledged fabricating the entire backstory, the Holocaust survivor, the warnings, and the Dybbuk element, as a creative writing exercise. The result is a fascinating case study in modern mythmaking. A real object, now permanently layered with a digital legend so powerful that the facts can no longer be cleanly separated from the fiction. Across these cases, evidence defined the edges, enough to describe events, not enough to complete them. Flannan, order within, chaos without. Philadelphia, a victim without a name for decades. The cabinet, an object, not a provenance. New tools can bridge gaps, but only where facts exist to connect. If this analysis was useful, consider subscribing and adding your comment. Facts first, here on Dark Data Files.